Hey everyone, if you are a seven-figure consulting business founder, meaning that you're doing $1 million or more per year in your consulting business, then what I'm about to share with you could really be the difference between struggle and success. I continue to observe in many of the consulting business founders and owners that we work with that they run up against obstacles. But when you know what those obstacles are, when you know how to not only prepare for them, but also how to deal with them, that's what unlocks not only the ability for you to grow your business in a very significant way, but also to optimize the business and to have it running in a much more streamlined approach or way. I'm going to share with you 6 very specific threats that, again, can hold you back or can launch you and kind of release you to that next level. The first is around you as the founder being the number one rainmaker in your business. And that simply means that the vast majority of new business is connected back to you. I should say it's not uncommon, and we see this with many clients where they're doing, let's say, $2 million a year, $3 million per year, but 80% or more of the business is still coming from them, right? It can be traced back to their direct involvement. And while that makes sense from the perspective of the founder almost always being able to be the best salesperson for quite some time because you have the deepest knowledge of your expertise, you have the most experience, you have the most just time in the business, so you've seen a lot of challenges, you're able to think quickly on your feet and navigate different situations as they come up. But the problem with that is that it means that revenue generation inside of your business is all on your shoulders. And so if you want to go away for a month, if you need to take time off for whatever reason, then revenue can start to dip. And if you want a business that can be sustainable for the long term, then it's important to think about how can you start to shift the reliance on business development and rainmaking, right? Just essentially bringing in new business, how you can shift that away from you. And it's not necessarily that you're going to go from, you being 80 or 90% of revenue generation in today and in a week or two or even in a month, that all of a sudden you're able to shift that completely away from you. But what you should, I would suggest, start thinking about is how can you maybe have that percentage go down over time. So if 80% or 90% is right now on your shoulders in a month, 2 months, 3 months, how can you get that from 90 to 85 to 80, 70, 60, 50, 40? And at some point, you're going to find that balance that works for you and works for the business. I remember I interviewed a founder of a consulting firm on the Consulting Success podcast. They're doing about $25 million per year. And this founder and partner in the business is responsible for about 40% of their time is dedicated to business development. And so that's the balance that they want. The other percentages are split among other things, aspects of managing the business, working with the team, doing delivery, but think about how you can shift and what that trajectory or path looks like for you to go from being the main business development person, the main rainmaker, and what are the steps that you need to take. And that might be looking to bring on a salesperson or somebody in the business development function or role. It might be looking at how you can craft certain partnerships or have certain marketing channels, right? Or different ways of going to the market where your content or the partnerships or other things that you do, right? Or the people that are on your team, how they can get more involved to help with generating more revenue. And since we're talking about business development, the second threat that we need to bring up is that business development for many 7-figure firms, especially when they're in the earlier stages of 7 figures, is that the vast majority of their business comes from referrals. And this is very common amongst all professional services, right? So consulting, of course, being included in that. The challenge with this is that referrals at some point will either start to dry up, meaning that the flow or the amount of the referrals that you used to get will not maintain at that same pace, or that even the referrals that, even if they remain at the same level for a period of time, the amount of referrals will not be enough for you to reach your next level goals. And so the referrals that you were getting might have been enough to get you to high 6 figures or even into low 7 figures. But if you want to work towards 3 million, 5 million and beyond, relying on referrals alone is not a smart move. And that's mainly because for the vast majority of consultants and consulting business owners, their approach to referrals is very reactive. It's not proactive, meaning that you get referrals when they come to you, and that's based on you doing great work, which is fantastic. And so you still want to cultivate referrals. Referrals should still be a good portion of your business, but rather than having 90% or 80% or 70% of all your business coming from referrals, think about how you can increase your other business development activities and efforts so that you are able to create a path to generate more leads that are high quality, to build your pipeline that you are in control of, that you can increase your involvement, you can put more money in, and you know that by doing that, because you now have developed a path, whether it's through content marketing, whether it's through direct outreach, whether it's through speaking or partnerships or writing, right? All these different things you could be doing, but having a path that you know when we do X, it creates a more consistent result that we can control is very powerful, because then you can start to scale up those efforts or spend more time doing those things as opposed to just waiting for referrals to come. All right, the third threat to a seven-figure consulting business is that you're still rely on hourly pricing, right? Or hourly fees. And this can be a really big bottleneck inside of a company. I would suggest that you need to first get very clear on what is the model that you want to use to grow your consulting business. If the model that you want to use is adding more and more people, right? More junior consultants, associates, senior consultants, so on and so forth, then hourly fees are a quite common approach, right? When you look at a lot of the larger big name firms out there, they are using a form of hourly fees and hourly pricing. But if you are a boutique consulting business, if you have between 5 and 15 or 20 team members, then hourly fees usually will not work as well as you'd like it to. And that is because you will start to run up against all kinds of issues when it comes to, you're reaching a cap. There's a certain level of capacity. How do you grow beyond? So the only way to continue growing is by hiring more people. And that's why when you look at a lot of these larger firms, why they have so many people is because they've essentially established that their model is the arbitrage, right? It's the delta between, or the alpha between what they are charging the client and what they are paying their team and overhead and so on and so forth. And so the more people they have, the more they can bill those people out. But for, again, the vast majority of people who are going to be watching this video, and if you're looking to run a seven-figure consulting business and just grow it to a nice level, but your goal is not world domination, you're not looking to have thousands of people, even hundreds of people inside of your business, then the approach that is likely going to be much better for you is not hourly fees, it's value pricing. It's focusing not on time units or deliverables, but outcomes. And when you can shift from hourly fees to getting very clear on what is the outcome, what is the value, what is the result, what is the benefit that we create for our clients, and have your clients invest in the outcome, not just in your time or your team's time, right? Which obviously has limitations because there's only 24 hours in a day. And certainly not everyone's going to be spending 24 hours, right, working. There's a cap. But when you launch into value pricing, there really is no cap. The cap is what is a good ROI for the client given that situation. And there's a lot of variables to go into that, but we've seen pretty consistently when seven-figure firms shift from hourly fees into really mastering value pricing, so many of our clients have been able to add 20, 30, 40, 50% in new revenue and profitable revenue to their business simply by making that adjustment in their pricing model and strategy. All right, so the fourth threat is really a lack of specialized positioning. If you're going to the market as just another ERP consulting firm, or just another CRM consulting firm, or an IT consulting firm, or pharma, or manufacturing, or fill in the blank, right? If what you are providing and doing resembles or looks, right, very similar to what others in the market are doing, you are essentially commoditizing yourself. You might not think that you are, but if you're not clearly in a league of your own, if the market you carved out, if your area of expertise is not defined, then the market will commoditize you. The market will look at you and say, yeah, they are a strategy consultant. They are a management consultant. They do, they consult in the pharma space. And again, that can work for a period of time. When you are a solo consultant or a small firm, there's enough business out there. But when you want to start growing to greater levels, you want to reach $2, $3, $4, $5 million per year or more, taking a general approach is very challenging. And it's because now you are competing not only with the solo consultants, but you're also competing with the mid-sized firms and the other boutique firms. So there's a lot of competition all around you. And if you haven't clearly defined what you are world-class at, what are you a true expert at? Where can you and your company add the most value? If you are trying to serve a lot of different people with a lot of different things, then you are going to be fighting in a red ocean, right? There's that famous book and concept, the blue ocean strategy. Well, if you are in the ocean with a lot of other people and you're offering a lot of the same things, then by definition, you are in a red ocean. And that's a challenging place to be, because now you are fighting just to make very small incremental gains. Whereas if you can establish clear positioning that really separates you from others in terms of what you do and who you do it for, right? And it might be other aspects around your methodology and again, what makes you unique. Well, now you are positioning yourself in a different category. You are clearly separating yourself from the crowd. And not only does that make you a more logical and easier choice, you stand out, right, more, but being a specialist and truly owning an area allows you to command premium fees. So if right now you look around you and your messaging, your website, your content, your services, there's a lot going on there, and it isn't really clearly defined around who do you really specialize in working with, what's the real problem that you solve, and how do you solve it. If you can look at your competitors and go, yeah, we're not that different from what everybody else is doing, then you likely are commoditizing yourself. You are in a red ocean, and it's time to think, well, how can you get to a blue ocean? All right, so what I just talked about in number 4 is going to be continued in number 5. The number 5 threat is complexity, right? And having your operations and your business being too complex. And one of the greatest things that holds 7-figure firms back from growing to that next level is that they've made their business too complex. They have too many different tools. There's a lack of organization. They work with too many different people. They provide too many different services. They have too many different price points, right? All of that ends up creating complexity. And while you likely kind of accrued some of that baggage and some of that waste as you were moving forward, right? Just throwing things kind of at the wall, adding things here and there. When you get to that 7-figure level, in order to get to the next level, you need to look at everything that you have and recognize that the best way, likely the best way for you to grow to the next level is not going to be to continue doing just what you've been doing. You need to look at what right now is a drag on the business. What is holding us back? Where inside of the business, whether it's in our operations, our marketing, our sales, or our delivery, but where inside these areas are we seeing that we have waste, that we have inefficiencies, right? What is dragging us down? What is slowing us down? What is really holding us back from operating as efficiently and effectively as we would like? And that's complexity. So take a good look at everything you have, do an audit, all aspects of your business and especially your operations, talk to your team, find out what their feedback is, where they think things are not as efficient as they could be. What suggestions do they have to make things more efficient and more effective? When you capture all of that and then bring it into your business, you're going to be able to start chipping away at the waste, at the inefficiency, and the complexity, because simplicity is what will help you to grow your business to that next level. All right, let's talk about the 6th and final threat that will hold you back from taking your 7-figure consulting business to the next level. And there's many more, but this one I should definitely mention because it's really important. And that is all around finances and cash flow management. More businesses go out of business because they don't pay attention to their finances than probably any other reason. When you are just getting started or when you're a solo consultant, it's much easier to manage that because everything is connected to you. But when you start building a team and you have payroll and you have different contractors and you have vendors, the machine by kind of nature will become a little bit more complex, or there will be more moving parts. And so for you as the leader of the business, it's really important that you understand all aspects of the business so that you can see before something happens and predict what might go wrong, right? As a leader, your job is not only to think about what was going to go right and to just be optimistic. I mean, yes, you should be optimistic. I am optimistic, but that also means that I still need to pay attention to some scenario planning. I need to think about different situations of what if this doesn't work out? You know, what we're expecting here doesn't play out the way that we are thinking about it. And so paying attention, keeping a close eye on your finances, on your cash flow, working to make sure that you have money in the bank to take care of your team and the business if things don't go the way that you're expecting, you know, over a period of a few months is really important. And so I'm not going to go into all the nuances and the details of cash flow management. We can do that in another video if you'd like, let me know. But I do want to share that it is very important that you understand the financial position of your business. If you are collecting a lot more cash than you are using, then you should be thinking about how to invest that money in a safe way, even in some money market funds or some treasury bills, but something that pays you more interest than just leaving money in the bank. If your business is not doing as well as you'd like it to, right? Maybe you have more money going out than you have coming in. Well, then you need to really take a good look at your expenses, right? And think about, is my whole team performing at the level they should be? Maybe you need to make some adjustments there. If your team is not performing the way they should be, that's an opportunity for you to look at how can you maybe shift somebody who's not performing and get them into a position where they can perform better, or bring somebody else in and replace them with somebody who can perform at a higher level. You should look at every expense that you have, every cost, and ask yourself the question, is this producing a good, solid ROI for us? Is it adding value for our business? If it is, then likely you should keep it, or maybe even do more with it. But if it's not, then you should consider removing it and taking it away. You can become leaner and more efficient with everything that you do. So that's the sixth threat. Don't underestimate the importance of understanding your finances, right? Being able to read a cash flow statement or a profit and loss statement and taking a look at your balance sheet, right? Talking to your accountant and your bookkeeper on a regular basis, looking at your books, whether you're using Xero or QuickBooks or something else. Pay attention to these things. Again, they're not as critical when you're a solo consulting business owner, but the moment that you shift and you're in seven figures and you have a team, there tends to be a lot more going on. And so that shouldn't be scary, right? Don't put your head in the sand just because it might feel maybe not as comfortable as you'd like it to be, but you will become more comfortable with it when you start paying more attention to it. All right, so those are 6 threats that you should pay attention to if you're running a 7-figure plus consulting business. There are many more, but I wanted to share at least 6 here with you. And this is the kind of stuff that we help our clients with in the Clarity Coaching Program all the time. We have many clients that are in the 7-figure plus level, and we work with them inside of our Clarity Coaching Program, helping them to build strategic plans based on their goals, and really helping them to not only navigate these types of threats so they can avoid them and be well prepared for them, but also how to take steps to grow their business and streamline it and optimize their business so that it really helps them to reach their goals and to achieve the success that is meaningful for them. If that's of interest to you, just go to consultingsuccess.com or click on the link somewhere around this page and get in touch.